All right. Well, we here's the thing. Our as you last thing I said is I always want when you connect with me to not add darkness and shadows to your life, but to add light to your life and encouragement. And so hopefully that's why you're here and that's why you're connecting. And surprisingly, this week the idea for what I want to share with you came from a movie. And let me give you a beautiful segue on this, okay? My internet just froze, which is why I was cut off. And then we had to delay a little bit and I came back on. And how relevant is this? Because I want to talk about Frozen, the movie, only not Frozen 1. I want to talk about Frozen 2. So I'd love for you to throw comments online right now. How many of you have watched Frozen 2? Now, for those of you who are mocking me right now, the first thing I want you to know is that, I mean, it's not like I buy totally into these movies or anything. Roxanne and I don't ever buy into the cultural things that are going on. And a little bit of iced tea here. Elsa and Anna. So I'm going to give this back to my wife. That is not my glass. That is Roxanne's glass. But how many of you watched Frozen 2? Throw it out there. Unfortunately, because of the frozen internet, I can't interact with you on that. I can't have multiple machines running right now. But I'd love to know. And for those of you who are mocking me for watching Frozen 2, it's the highest grossing animated film in history. And so it's got some relevance in culture. And it's from this movie and some experiences I've had with it recently that I want to give you some spiritual encouragement. But before we get into it, I know there are a lot of people who have a hard time with media, have difficulty with it. And look, Disney is not a Christian company. It's not a spiritual company. There aren't many movie-making companies that are, which is why Northridge is trying to make movies like The Soldier at Easter, and hopefully we'll be going further into that. But yet it's still important to see story and to see life in this real world. And I know in Frozen 2, there are all kinds of people that attach spiritual significance in weird ways to the elements and the fifth element. And I need you to get past that so that we can speak to a certain issue, okay? And if any of my kids were watching right now, and I think I know some are, I'm sure they're absolutely cringing to know that I am going to share spiritual encouragement from a movie, because as much as they love me, and my kids still do love me amazingly, one of the things that they don't love so much about me is that I'm always looking for a spiritual lesson in everything I watch, and I have no discernment as to when to share what I'm thinking. And in fact, over the years, it's made them really, really hate watching movies with me, because I'll actually stop movies, no matter where it is in the movie, even if it's in the most intense moment, and I'll give them a teaching moment, from their pastor, and trust me, they're not loving it. But since you're my church family, I figure I can bug you the same way I bug my personal family. I thought it was only fair that I inflict some pain on you by giving you a teaching moment, spiritual encouragement out of some things I thought of from Frozen 2. But it goes further than just the movie. In the past couple of days, along with watching the movie, Roxanne and I have also watched the documentary Into the Unknown, the making of Frozen 2. It's on Disney Plus right now. And I just have to tell you, in my opinion, it's definitely worth watching if you can get access to Disney Plus. That documentary was amazing. It inspired me. It humbled me. Because these people, for an animated story, a good one at that, but an animated story, gave their blood, sweat, and tears for 4 years. The collective energy to put that one movie together just boggled my mind. The passion people had to work 14, 15 hours a day for months on end in order to produce a movie. You don't see that in many people, not even those called to be teaching the eternal truth of Jesus Christ. It humbled me. It inspired me that people are so committed to their craft and so committed to telling story in a excellent way that they're willing to invest themselves that way. It challenged me because I think I have the greatest message on the planet. I've been given the greatest privilege as a person to be a follower of Jesus and to share Jesus with the world, and to be called to be a pastor, to teach his truth to the world, to be given a platform like we have at Northridge. It is, what a challenge. I want to take it, seize it, approach it with the same kind of passion they had. It impressed me what they've produced and how they could produce it, and it surprised me. And so all that stuff went on, but there was a particular scene and song in the movie that captured me, looking for a spiritual lesson, looking for that spiritual truth that might have some application to my life, to those that I have influence over. And it even captured me more in the documentary because I got to see the laying down of the song, the lyrics, by the person who played the character Anna. And the song that really got me was The Next Right Thing. And it's written by just some quality musicians, writers, Kristen Anderson Lopez and Robert Lopez. And it's sung by Anna in a very climactic moment in Frozen 2, but she's played by Kristen Bell. And in the documentary, they showed Kristen laying down the song and how she just captured the emotional essence and the pathos of that moment and uttered out the lyrics of this thing with crying. And it's amazing how the animators then took her tears and her emotional approach and applied it to Anna. You could see it. It was just unbelievable. But I wanted to share the lyrics with you. And out of this will come my spiritual encouragement for this week, okay? And I just need you to know these lyrics are worth listening to. She's saying, I've seen dark before. And talk about relevant to our lives right now, all the junk that we're taking in. She said, I've seen dark before, but not like this. This is cold. This is empty. This is numb. The life I knew is over. The lights are out. Man, isn't that how people are talking about this pandemic thing and all the social unrest and the turmoil in America right now? And she says, hello, darkness. I'm ready to succumb. She was ready to succumb to it, be overcome by it. I follow you around. I always have. But you've gone to a place I cannot find. This grief has a gravity. It pulls me down. But a tiny voice whispers in my mind, you are lost. Hope is gone. But you must go on and do the next right thing. Can there be a day beyond this night? I don't know anymore what is true. I can't find my direction. I'm all alone. The only star that guided me was you. How to rise from the floor when it's not you I'm rising for? Just do the next right thing. Take a step. Step again. It's all that I can do. The next right thing. I won't look too far ahead. It's too much for me to take, but break it down to this next breath, to this next step. This next choice is the one that I can make. So I'll walk through this night. It's good encouragement for us, right? So I'll walk through this night, stumbling blindly toward the light, and do the next right thing. And with it done, what comes then? When it's clear that everything will never be the same again, then I'll make the choice to hear that voice and do the next right thing. I mean, it's an absolutely great song. And it was sung by the character Anna on Frozen 2, but Kristen Bell was the actress playing her. And that song is such a great challenge. But as you're always going to get in a secular movie, and a movie made for all people, regardless of values and backgrounds and religion or irreligion, it's missing one huge thing. It's missing what the first next right thing is. Anna even said in Frozen 2, in that song, I'll just keep taking one step after another towards the light. But of course, it never defines what the light is. What's the one thing that has to come before our first next step? What's the one thing we as believers need to do before we take that first step? What's the light? And I won't bury the lead here. The first thing we have to do before the next step is we have to see the light. We have to look to Jesus. Now in the movie, and this is where my kids would have been really upset with me, I would have stopped it right here. In the movie, Anna and Olaf are in a dark cave with seemingly no way out. I mean, they're locked in this cave, no hope. And then Olaf sees a light. Now Anna, with her eyes on that light, knows the direction to take each next step because she saw the light. If all she had was the darkness of that tunnel, she would have succumbed to the darkness, like the song said. She would have had no place to go. But once she saw the light, once Olaf showed her the light, she knew the direction for each next step. The path was still difficult. The grief was still filled with gravity. It was still painful. She had to get to it, but she keeps taking one next step after another towards that light, and she finally gets through it. Now, for us as believers, I just have to say it simply. That light is Jesus, plus nothing, minus nothing. So in all the darkness that we're experiencing right now, and all the disillusionment, and all the disappointment, and all the shadows, Jesus is the light. And so we need to see his light. We need to get focused on his light, or we'll keep taking the wrong next step. And this is what I see with so many believers in this time, just filled with all the places to get more and more darkness creeping into your soul. They keep making choice after choice, taking step after step, not going in the right direction. I mean, saying the name Jesus, singing songs about Jesus, but not going in that direction because they're not focused on the light. They're not taking their next right step toward the light. They're following the crowd, they're following the peers, they're following the reactions of the partisan politics that they believe in and all that stuff, but they're not focused on the light. And what we have to do if we want to take the next right step, and this is where Anna and Frozen 2 and Disney doesn't get us to, if we want to take the next right step, not just another step, but the next right step, we have to keep our eyes on the light. We're going to be living in the darkness, that's the truth. We're going to be living in a world without hope, that's the truth. But if we can keep our eyes on the light, on Jesus, everything we do, each step we take, each choice we make, can lead us to the right place. And this is why the writer of Hebrews shares this in Hebrews chapter 12, verses 1 through 3. He says, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses," he's saying because there are so many, it's following, Hebrews 12 follows Hebrews 11, which is the great Hall of Fame chapter. All these stories of people who really genuinely, in a world of darkness, in a world of hopelessness, in a world of disappointment and disillusionment and injustice, in a world gone bad, all of these people lived great lives. They took the next right step time after time again because they kept their eyes on the light. And so the author of Hebrews is saying, since we're surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, other people that have done it, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles us, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. And then he tells us how. Fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. In that song, Anna said, I almost succumbed to the darkness. I felt like I succumbed to the darkness, but then Olaf showed her the light. She was able to walk towards it. Well, the truth is, Jesus is the light, and If you know Jesus is the light, then he's the one we need to fix our eyes on. He's the one that we need to look to. And every step we take, every choice we make needs to lead us closer to him, not further away. Not to emulate the rage of the world, but to emulate the love of Jesus. Not to emulate the injustice of the world, but to emulate the justice, the goodness, the righteousness of Jesus. Not to emulate the conflict of soul of the world, but to emulate the peace of Christ that passes understanding in our soul. And I want you to remember, there are a ton of things in our lives and world right now that can and are filling us up with darkness. I mean, you can get all the darkness you want. It's like sucking the oxygen out of our lives. It's like robbing us of any sense of hope if all we do is fill ourselves with that darkness. But we don't have to be defeated by those things. The ultimate moment of darkness was experienced for 3 days when Jesus, the creator of this world, the Redeemer, was in that tomb. But he didn't stay there. He walked out alive. And no matter what darkness we experience in our lives, there's hope. There's a light. We just have to fix our eyes on Jesus so that we can see it. And by the way, a little bit of challenge to those of us who already know Jesus. When Olaf saw the light, he immediately shared it with Anna. When was the last time you shared Jesus, the light, with anyone? They're living in darkness, consumed by darkness, beat up by darkness, disillusioned by darkness. Why not just show them the light? The truth is, if we're raging like the world, if we're living in disillusionment like the world, if we're reacting to injustice like the world reacts to injustice, then we can't point them to the light because we're living in darkness. We have to experience the light, fix our eyes on the light, and then we can show them the way to the light. And I want to encourage you to do it. I want to encourage you to always remember, like that song says. And I hope you'll watch the movie. I hope you'll watch that song. I hope you'll watch that documentary. It's just very interesting. I want to encourage you, always remember to do the next right thing. Fix your eyes on Jesus. Fix your eyes on the light and make each step, each choice, each movement of your life go in that direction. And with your eyes fixed on him and his hope and his promises and his goodness, do the next right thing. Take the next right step. I have to tell you, I love art. And I love artists. And I know the majority of artists in the world don't know Jesus, but they were given their gift of art by Jesus. And the truth is, Jesus told story, and story is a beautiful thing. It's what movies do. And I'm really thankful for storytellers in our culture. And yeah, we have to go through some junk, and yeah, there's a lot of mistruth in those things, but if you look for it, if you're focused on Jesus, if you're living Jesus, if you're focused on his truth, then when you watch those movies, when you see those movies, you can see what's counterfeit. You can see what's dangerous. You can see the bad moves, the bad reactions. You can also find spiritual applications, like when you fix your eyes on Jesus, the light, and take the next right step, do the next right thing, you can end up in the right place. And it's a worthy thing. So the good news is you don't have to watch a movie with me. Most of you, kids, you do. But you don't have to watch a movie with me. But I hope that when you do watch movies, you just don't internalize it. In fact, I hope when you watch news, when you take in media, when you look at social media, whatever you're taking in, that you don't just let it go in without being filtered. I hope that you'll always be looking for a spiritual lesson, a spiritual thought, a danger. And you will if you always are fixing your eyes on Jesus. Okay, so that's my little teaching moment in the middle of Frozen 2, okay? And with that, I just want to encourage you, one last thing, I want to encourage you to engage this weekend. I am genuinely excited about this coming weekend because Pete Wilson is kicking off a series called The Anatomy of a Dream. and he's going to kind of unfold from the life of David, the anatomy of a dream and the way to go. And I'm not going to dig into his truths. He's going to do that this weekend, but you're going to want to be there. And won't you just invite a bunch of people to watch as well? Yes, we're digital only. I think you're aware that we had more new COVID cases yesterday, today than ever. And there's a lot of stuff going on with that. The wise move that God has led us to is to keep doing digital only for now with all of our virtual ministry. Hope you'll take advantage of it. But man, you have a friend in Japan, you can invite them to Northridge Church with the digital only thing going on. And I hope you will, and I hope you'll be there. Be praying for Pete, be praying for the team, and I'll be praying for you. And I can't wait to experience it with you. Not teaching, but actually experiencing it with you. So with that, I want to thank you for joining me. I'm going to pray, and then we're going to get out of here, okay? So let's pray. Jesus, I thank you so much for the beauty of art that you've given us in this world, for the talent of artists. You've given them passion and gifts that just allow them to tell stories in amazing ways, paint pictures in amazing ways. And God, even though many don't use their talent for you, many don't use their talent in the way that you ultimately intended, their talent can still help us to learn and grow. And I just pray that all of us would be grown-ups in this world, and we'd realize we live in this world of darkness, but if we fix our eyes on you, we can find truth, and we can find goodness, and we can find help, and we can find lessons, and we can grow through any and all circumstances. And I pray that's exactly what will happen in all of our lives. Help each of us to see your light clearly, Jesus, to be fixed on you, and to have the discipline and the will and the passion to take the next step, the next right step. And we know that when we acknowledge you in all of our ways, you'll direct our paths. And we thank you for it. Be with each one who's listening right now. And I'll thank you for it in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for hanging with me. Sorry for the little technological delay. Wi-Fi isn't always perfect. And I hope you were able to stream this well. And I can't wait to see you next time as well. But until then, have a great, great, great weekend. Be safe. And don't forget, fix your eyes on Jesus.